And we welcome you to the IATC Exchange Zone, along with Christian on the controls, Joel Bloomer in the back, Kyle Wagner. I'm Ben Dewey. We are here to recap another historic state championship tonight on the Exchange Zone. And we will also host our first ever Champions Night. Throughout the show, we'll have 6 or 7 different state champions jump on the show. This should be a good one, Kyle.
Think so too. We got 2 to go, and you're exactly right. It was an awesome weekend, and I'm excited to recap it all.
Thank you for being a part of the Exchange Zone this season. You can help us by leaving a comment or subscribing wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts or on YouTube as well. Also, if you ever want to reach out to us on the Exchange Zone, there is our contact information. Academic All-State nominations and Coach of the Year nominations. Those are due coming up here a week from Friday, and the criteria for those will be on the screen. And we changed the Academic All-State criteria this year. No longer is the ACT required. 3.8 GPA and a top 30 finish at the state qualifying meet or competing in the state meet gets you eligible for Academic All-State. And then we also have added a second team All-State this year to the state meet. 16 through 30 per class. 1 through 30 make up your elite All-State team. Fall meeting. Kyle, are you going to be at the fall meeting?
I'm planning to be at the fall meeting.
All righty. It is at 9 a.m. at Waukee Northwest on November 17th. That'll be a week from this upcoming Saturday. There'll be state association representation there. Coach of the Year voting will take place, and a Prancheros Burrito Bowl bar. I went and ordered it the other day at the Urbandale Prancheros. If you're in the metro area, you know the Urbandale Prancheros is the best Prancheros in town. Did you know that, Joel? Yeah. Some Prancheros you try to avoid. This is the one. So
it was good last year.
You want to go to. Fantastic. And new this year, the live stream. So if you can't make it this year, we will be live streaming the fall meeting, and we will be sending an email out with the Zoom link that you will log into, and that email will get sent to every head coach, cross country and track and field. So we're flying through things tonight, Kyle. We've got so much to get through. So let's move right to the quick question and take it away, Joel.
Yeah, so the quick question this week is, at the state cross country course, which strategy is better, getting out fast or even splits?
What do you think, Kyle? I know we talked about this before we came on.
Yeah, at least what I saw on Friday, outside of Marissa's race in the 3A girls, it worked much better to get out conservative. The other 3 races, whoever was leading at the mile did not win the race, I believe is what the stat was, or at least when I saw. So this year, I would say conservative, even split.
Yeah. It's fascinating watching those races play out on YZ Live Results. I feel terrible as the host of this show not making it to the state meet. I'm just going to admit I wasn't there. I've been gone from school a lot and have to be gone again this week, later in the week. So I felt like I should stay back. But I tracked everything, talked to a lot of people, a lot of coaches, different coaches have given input, and I'm excited to recap that meet. So let me pull up the script here. It's your turn, Kyle. I know this is something you're very proud of.
Oh, yes. I'm so competitive.
Look at that chart.
This was done Sunday morning while setting my fantasy football lineup so I could get the win over Jack Reek. Sorry, Jack. Was it 46-42?
Yeah, and I don't fully trust Kyle's scoring system.
It's El Cater math. But I do think you're right. We can't change the rules after the game, but I do think next year, if your sleeper team underperforms, then I do think you should lose points.
Absolutely.
So we'll change that for next year, but current rules of the game, I'm the 2024 champion.
And you know what? If the rules were right, I would have won because I went back and looked it up today. So I'm a sore loser. But good job, Kyle.
Not sore loser, just competitive.
Congratulations. All right, we got a little icebreaker.
Couple
Look
good
at that.
questions.
Yep. So, Kyle, first question for you. What was the most surprising individual race performance this weekend?
I'm going to go 4A girls. We knew it was wide open to start. There's a lot of girls that could win it, but just the way it played out. Nikia Olivier was at the lead to start. Morehauser just took off in mile 2. And then Messerly, she's the one that sat back at the beginning, kind of let it all play out, and then really pushed the last mile and got the win. So to see it all unfold was really, really cool, and so I'm going to say 4A girls.
Good pick.
All right. This is probably the toughest question to answer of all of them. More impressive, Pella girls or Gilbert boys?
You give me the hard ones.
I did.
Man, that's a really good question. I would say both equally as impressive, but if I had to pick one, it's got to be the Pella girls for me. Just the sheer dominance, not that Gilbert didn't, but 1 through 7 for Pella. Would they put 6 on the deck?
Yeah,
they
they
had 6 in the top 15.
They went 1, 2, 3.
Just truly remarkable. And then equally as so for Gilbert, those are 2 of the best teams in Iowa for the gender.
Correct.
And
any classes.
And I did some math, and I think Pella and Pleasant Valley mathematically in the same race would be about a tie.
That's what we did, the same thing on the bus ride home.
And then Gilbert, Cedar Falls would have beat Gilbert in the same race by about 20 to 30.
Gotcha.
But you don't know.
Right.
Those Pella girls are running by themselves.
Correct.
So
and I thought the morning races were different from the afternoon. Like us in the morning, the ground was probably a little softer. Afternoon, the wind picked up significantly. So it was still 2 different races, even though they weren't that far apart. But I don't think there's a wrong answer to what you just did.
Incredible.
Absolutely.
And historic.
Without question. All right. Question number 2 for you.
Yeah, which team race went completely different than expected for you?
I would say 2A girls. I thought Van Meter, not necessarily a lock, but I thought they were a pretty heavy favorite.
We did not see Mid-Prairie coming.
No, should have. But
they're so well coached.
The top 3 ranked teams all finished on the podium, just not in the order we necessarily thought. So I'll go 2A girls.
And Unity Christian ran tremendous.
Yes, they did.
With Addison Liston coming out of nowhere for a top 5 performance. All right.
Final question to you. Is Fort Dodge the best place to hold the state cross-country meet?
You give me the questions that I could actually get scrutinized from people.
I know. That's why I sent them to you.
Man. I love the course. I love the setup they have. I think they've got it running really well as far as just logistically. Are there better options out there? Maybe. Are they willing to step up and host? I don't know. I don't know when and if it will go out to bid again. My biggest thing is, and I know they're working hard on this, is the technology standpoint. It's got to improve. And we're in 2024. Cross country has changed dramatically just in 5 years, not let alone 10, 15, 20 years. So I'd say, is it the right place? Probably. Can it get better? Sure.
And I would agree with that. When I was up there, it seemed like U.S. Cellular worked and Verizon didn't. So if I was trying to call somebody with Verizon, it wouldn't go through. But Marshalltown comes to mind. You brought that one up. Waterloo, when they hosted 2003 NCAA championships, if they could do that, you think they could host a high school state championships? A little bit different, but still, I don't know. I thought it was very well run. It was a
Mhm.
great meet. It gets better every single year with the amenities up there. So I thought they did an awesome job.
All right, let's go to Welcome to the Zone here on our last opportunity for that, and welcome these athletes to the zone. First time, maybe calling their name, or first or second time. We'll start with Max Handorf, the sophomore from Baxter. Finished 12th, Kyle. Just a sophomore, 8th at his state qualifying meet, finishes 12th overall in 1A. Keep an eye out for Andrew Allen and Matthew Dom. Allen of Xavier, Cedar Rapids, and Dom of Sioux Center. These are two rising freshmen, 17th and 18th in Class 3A, the top two freshmen in that class for the boys. Watch out for them as we go into the future. Carson Oberrender of Martinsdale St. Mary's, a junior. She finished 9th overall in the 1A Girls Championship, state qualifying meet champion, and a conference champion for Martinsdale. And the last name, Kylie Zylstra, the sophomore from Grinnell, 7th at the WAMAC, 5th at the qualifying meet, and she finishes 8th at the state meet for the Grinnell Tigers. And watch out for that name in the next couple of years. Those are some good ones. Just remarkable. We haven't even mentioned these names, and they're all state athletes outside of those two young freshmen.
They stepped up at the right time. That's awesome to see. Very good performances for them.
All right, joining us now, we have Iowa's all-time best athlete in cross country, as they say now, the GOAT. 2023 and 2024 state champion Marissa Farly of Pella joins us on the Exchange Zone for the second time this year. We haven't typically had repeats. We've got a couple tonight. Marissa, welcome to the show again.
Thanks for having me.
So, what I just want to know, obviously the race was incredible. Your performances all season have been just magical, it seems like, I think would be a good word to put it. But put us in your shoes. What was it like after that race Friday morning, setting an all-time Iowa best, and into the weekend for you? What did that feel like? What did that celebration look like for you?
It was a pretty fun weekend, starting off with Friday at the race, and then we spent the afternoon there watching the 4A races, which was fun, and then just getting recognized by a few people and just feeling super proud. And then on Saturday, actually, I don't think we could have celebrated better, but we had tickets to the Eras Tour concert, so we went to Indianapolis and watched Taylor Swift. So kind of a busy weekend, but it was super fun.
That's exciting.
Was that planned? Like state championship eras?
No, we weren't. We were just really grateful that I didn't run on Saturday because we would have had to miss the concert.
That's awesome.
Some Swifties might have missed the state meet for the concert.
Jeez.
Yeah, my sister wouldn't have gone to the meet. She would have gone to the tour.
Wow. Siblings there. So how are you able to train at this level with all that you have in your high school program, all the things going on? I saw you post-race for a long time going back and forth on that trail, getting some more miles in. So how do you do all that?
Yeah, Pella is super supportive of the high caliber, I'd say. I get to do a lot of training with Elsie, so we do a lot of the same training, a lot of the same mileage, so that makes it a lot easier. We kind of are cool down buddies, you could say. But just keeping the mileage pretty high, we do harder workouts, and Cutler allows us to do that. Usually we're out there a little bit longer than most people, but I mean, you've seen it with my team. We're a pretty good team, so we do a little bit more than I would say the normal high school does, and that kind of just translates up. So it doesn't actually feel too bad. It feels pretty good, and like I said, I don't do it alone. I do most of it with Elsie.
All right. And I asked Coach Cutler this at the meet, but I'm going to ask you the same question. What do you attribute to your dramatic improvement over the past year?
I would just have to say it's consistency. I haven't had to take significant time off for like an injury other than just breaks between training blocks, which is all planned out. But consistency, getting stronger mentally, physically, and yeah, I'm just good training. Cutler's a great coach. He's kind of got this figured out, and then working with Accelerate to just getting training figured out, and consistency over time, I would say would be the biggest thing.
Well, what a great season you've had, and a tremendous plan that your coach and coaches have put together. And I'm guessing we'll see you here in the postseason. Is that correct?
Yep, we're going to next on Sunday. So
Okay. Well, we'll look forward to following you, and can't wait to see you on a oval coming up this spring. And we appreciate you coming on a couple times and your support of our show as well. And nothing but the best to you and health as you continue your postseason.
yeah, thank you.
All right, thanks, Marissa. Well, let's look at that 3A race, Kyle. And coming into the meet, we obviously knew Pella was the favorite. What did I set the point at? 36? Is that 36?
I can't remember. Maybe 37 and a half or something.
Yeah, well, they crushed it. Whatever it was in the 30s, 23 points for the Dutch. We knew it was going to be 1-2 with those two. Did not see Ruth Dunham coming in third. What do you think of her performance? Beating some really, really good runners. Sonderman, tremendous career for Harlan, and Dunham races past her down the home stretch.
She was just patient. She was 7th at the mile and just took her time, slowly moved up, and put herself in the best position possible to get third.
Yeah, and the rest of that class, Sonderman, we mentioned, just a great cross-country career. We'll see her finish her track career this spring. Izzy Harden, a young and upcoming runner from Makokata, another great season. She had a tremendous track season, third in the 3K, comes out here in the top 5 finish. And then Pella puts another, would they put 3 more in the top 14? So they had 6 in the top 14 in this competition. And then a shout out to Natalie Anderson of MOC Floyd Valley, another name we haven't talked much about, a top 10 performance. And then Alexa Hargenritter of North Polk, a good showing. Team-wise, Kyle, what'd you think of the way that Sioux Center just kind of controlled that second place spot most of the race? And I was like, Mount Vernon's probably going to come back, but Sioux Center hold it off the whole time.
Yeah, just impressive. I would say kind of quietly done it. Didn't necessarily have the super low stick like Mount Vernon had, or Harlan or Glenwood, so just quietly did it.
Mm-hmm. And then in that third spot was Mount Vernon, a great season for them. Trophy for Mount Vernon Lisbon, Solon fourth, winner set. Just a tremendous job by their coaching staff. You mentioned battled injury. To get 5th, would you have ever imagined that a few weeks ago when you talked to Coach at the conference meet?
No, and if I was wrong or misinterpreted that, I totally apologize, but
I think we looked it up, though.
Man, I can look it up quick, too, again.
And on down, just a tremendous meet. MOC Floyd Valley, I thought, outperformed their ranking pretty well. Came in 12th, finished 9th. But overall, a really good 3A state meet. And we'll look at how this 3A race will look next year in our Way Too Early show here at the end of the season next Wednesday. Let's bring our next guest in. All right, we'll go to the 3A boys individual champion, the state champion, and a friend of the program, we'll call him, a frequent commenter, Quinton Nauman of Epworth West Dubuque. He's in his billiards hall, and there he is. Quinton, how are you tonight?
I'm doing good. How are you?
We're great. We're hoping that our connection is a lot better than when it was the first time you've come on. So thanks for coming back on the Exchange
This ain't my
Zone.
house, so.
What'd you say?
This ain't my house, so.
Oh, all right. No, I think it was on our end. That was when we were still trying to get our internet figured out.
No, it's definitely on my end.
Oh, okay. Hey, so let's get started. First off, congratulations on the state championship. Just an incredible race with you and Kanan Dunham of Pella. Just another hard-fought battle. My question to you is, you had a couple losses middle of the year. How did you handle those close losses, and how did you use those as an advantage for your competition at the state meet?
So I kind of built off my losses. My losses are obviously it's going to be tough, and realizing that it's going to be tough. It's kind of a thing that you just have to take a step back do some training, get your mind off of it and then move on. I mean, you got to get more competitive and it should really push you to go on.
Nice.
What has been the biggest difference from this time last year to where you are now? Like, what have you done to get where you are now?
So I kind of increased my mileage over the summer. I said that last pod, but I increased my mileage. And I mean, the increase from 45 my sophomore year to 54. So that kind of helped with the cross country base and just, really getting competitive with some of the best guys in Iowa.
And did you kind of taper the last 2 weeks, or did you remain pretty consistent?
I tapered, and as I went on, I just did some workouts. So kind of like you guys know how a normal taper goes usually, and yeah, just got ready for the state meet.
Talk about a little bit I know we mentioned last time on the podcast your connection with some of your competitors. Do you see that connection as it's really helped you become even a better runner? And how does that work when you're extreme rivals with someone and you want to beat them, but you also have such great respect for your competitor?
So when the gun goes off, you think of it like as a competitive race. Like you're going to be competitive against some of the best guys, and you think, yeah. But then after that gun goes off, like when you're done with the race, everything's done. You can really just talk to them and just have fun with the sport. I mean, it's part of it, and I feel like I enjoyed it more just being friends with these people.
Cool. I got one last question for you. When you're in the middle of a race and it's one of these competitive races, what is a positive affirmation that you give yourself maybe when you start to feel like, oh, I don't know if I can do this? What is something that you tell yourself that can kind of get you refocused and to get you going again to take over a race that last mile?
So usually I just, keep the eye on the next guy. So keep the guy in whoever is ahead of me, keep my eyes on their head and just keep going. I mean, literally just telling myself, you can do this. You can keep up with this guy. If I can see the last 600 meters, I'm like, you can do it. You can do it. And then just go for it.
Anything else?
Did your race plan go exactly as expected, or did you have a wrench thrown in your plan and have to make some adaptations?
Okay, so originally the plan was to kind of stay on him the last 800. Then that last 800 turned into the last 600 because when I tried to pass in the last 8, he sped up, and I was just like, okay. And then I was like, let's just wait 200 more meters, and then I passed him the last 600, and then I just went on, and I just never stopped, keeping my foot off the gas.
Wow. And another just phenomenal performance you had. The last mile plus 0.1, 5:16 for that closing mile and 0.1, which is probably about a 4:50 mile, I'd say, right around there. Think that's about accurate?
Yeah, around 4:53. I think I had my watch at mile 3.
He's got it.
So, hey, really good work. What's your off season look like? Are you going to continue to run or not?
I'm going to NXR, so yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, hey, congratulations. Great job. This isn't going to be the last time you race Kanan Dunham, Caleb Tenpass, Jacob Tallman also in the mix there. You guys have a whole nother cross-country season together and track. But congratulations. Thank you for your support of our show and coming on a couple times this year. And we look forward to watching you next weekend and then seeing you on the oval somewhere around the state next spring.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to thank Tony, too.
That's right. We'll thank Tony. All right, thanks, Quinton.
Yep.
And in that 3A boys race, we talked a little bit about the individual race. I thought Caleb Tenpass was fantastic.
Yeah, he was patient,
15:27 for a third-place finish.
Very patient.
And then how do you describe this 3A trio from Gilbert?
I'm trying to figure it out.
And they're interchangeable now. They've
Mhm.
all beat each other. I mean, it's probably just a pack running for them. They don't care who wins, but to have 3 guys between 1530 and 1540 at a state meet is incredible for any class.
And 2 sophomores.
Man.
Yeah, I agree. It's, like the Pella girls, just incredible to watch. Just enjoy it while it's here because it's awesome.
Yeah, and individually rounding out that top 10, Austin Soltwich had just a really good senior season for the Go Hawks of Waverly Shellrock. And how about Josh Hagenberg? I did not see that coming, a top 10 finish. We knew he was having a great season, but for him to finish 9th is really impressive for Des Moines Christian.
Let's see. He wasn't even top 7 on the team last year.
Really?
Never ran in the state meet and finished 14th individually in 3A.
Wow. That is incredible.
Or maybe that was Luke,
that's
sorry.
Luke, yep.
But still, I got to watch Josh and Luke run at Ballard. They were very, very impressive. So that was huge, especially Des Moines Christian going up to 3A. I think they started the season ranked 4th, even with the bump. Ended up finishing 2nd here. That's a big reason why. Without that, I'm not sure they're on the deck.
No, for sure. And then that team race, this one we were probably about as close to being accurate as most of our classes. You picked Pella for 3rd. I picked Decorah. I thought Pella had a really good clutch race. I think they came into the meet feeling like they could get probably 3rd comfortably, maybe 2nd. But I still think Decorah and Mount Vernon were really good. And for them to gap them by 50 points and then 100 points on 5th, I thought Pella ran really well.
I think so too, and they told me there's more shirts being made. I believe it's Jeff Linder over Kyle and Ben, which I respect. Jeff Linder's awesome, so he does a great job for the sport. But even down the line, what really amazed me was 8th through 13th was 11 points.
Yeah.
That was just wild when that showed up on the video board.
Yeah, and your call there on Washington. Both of our surprise teams ran really well. Obviously, Washington outperformed their ranking by 4 spots, and you called that seeing them in person at the qualifier. But yeah, and then Assumption, a really good performance, came in 14th, finished 10th. Like you said, what a spread there from 8 to 12, 8 to 13, excuse me. You can even go to 14. So
fun race,
yeah,
for sure.
And a good first meet for your team.
Thank you. It was.
Yep.
It's different. Last year we had an individual go up. The first time you take a team, it's a lot different.
Yep, it is. And then the next time you go, it'll feel a lot more comfortable.
I hope so. I felt like I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off, which we'll get to some of that in a little bit.
All right. Let's move to the 2A girls race. And this is one you've already kind of talked about in our icebreaker section. And we'll start on the individual side. And we'll be joined here momentarily by how many, Joel, 4-time state champions have there been on the girls' side? Bloomer Trivia?
2 now.
2 now.
2 now.
Judge
Nice
Joel.
Judge Joel.
2 now. And she'll join us here momentarily. But Noel Steinis with a very nice, about a 20-second win. And it's something that we expected. But the amount of pressure she had to feel coming into that, we'll ask her. But I think that's a really quality win for her.
Exactly. Only one other girl has done it. I think Danielle Hostetler last year was the most recent to attempt it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not easy to do.
No.
You think of a 4-time wrestling state champion and how rare that is, but this is even more rare than that.
Just think about how hard it is to even go back to back.
Right.
And then you have back to back to back. So 4-time champ, really impressive. Can't wait to talk to her soon. What else in that 2A race there, Kyle, stuck out to you?
Individually or team-wise?
Yeah, individually.
Man, where to start? Probably Scarlett Barnes and Amelia Condon, 5th and 6th for Osage. I thought that was really good for them. Condon going out with a great race her senior year, getting up on the deck. Laura Streck, just, there's a very good McKenna Montgomery, Addison Liston, Alyssa Richmond, all could have been in the mix there for Laura Streck to come out on top on second. Also very impressive.
And then how about Mid Prairie? Would you have ever thought they'd put 3 on the deck coming into this? I thought maybe they had a chance at 2, for sure 1 probably. But Brooklyn Stutzman, Rachel Hostetler, and Kendall Landstrom, 3 in the top 15, fueling a surprise state championship for Mid Prairie.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit. I thought Van Meter was a significantly heavy favorite. They didn't lose by a ton by any means. 84, 92, 114's not that crazy of a spread. But no, I did not see Mid Prairie getting 3 up on the deck, 4 in the top 17 in the team score-wise, and then just hanging on for 5 to secure that state championship.
Yeah, and Unity Christian Orange City with a really good performance. We mentioned Liston, Katie Young, another runner that's been very good for them throughout her career. Van Meter third, Tipton, a team that you almost willed to a trophy, and they were right there, just about 40 points short. But I thought they ran well. I really did. And then Denver. This is a Denver team that's been up and down with Sumner Fred, that whole triangle of teams up there that beat each other. Hudson, throw them into that mix. Denver walks out as the team on top from that group, and what a performance, bettering their 10th place ranking to get 5th.
Right, I think they were my preseason number 1, if I remember correctly, but absolutely putting it together at the right time. I think they've done that a couple times since we've started doing this. Just always seem to show up at the right time. So big shout out to the Cyclones.
And then rounding out some of that top 10 spots, you've got Sumner Fred. You've got PCM. A great year for PCM Monroe. This is a team, did we have them ranked preseason?
I will check.
You check on that. But no low stick. This is a rare occurrence here. No low stick, but they pack them in tight. We knew that those top 4 for them would be dangerous, and they set that pack up pretty well. Albia 8th, Forest City 9, and Roland Story 10. As we await if Kyle had PCM.
I had him 16.
Okay. 16th, finished 7th for Prairie City Monroe.
They got a lot coming back, too.
There's a few of these classes that have a ton coming back. I think one of the classes, I should have wrote it down, 17 of the top 19 are back next year individually. And I can't remember which. It's one of the smaller classes.
IATC had him 12 to start the year.
So a good year for PCM. Anything else in 2A before we bring on the 4-time state champion?
Let's get to the interview.
All right. Joining us now on the Exchange Zone, one of only 2 Iowa high school girls to win 4 individual state titles in cross country in 4 years. The 2021, 22, 23, and 24 champion, Noel Steinis of Tipton. Welcome, Noel.
Thanks. It's good to be back.
I was going to ask, did we have you on a long time ago?
Yeah, my sophomore year.
Your sophomore year. I was going to ask Kyle that.
Say, it had to have been audio only.
Oh, yeah. Audio only. Audio only. Hey, so first off, congrats and welcome back to the podcast. First question, to win 4 for 4, a lot has to happen in your favor, not just training-wise, but just overall general health of a high school athlete. How do you keep yourself healthy each year to perform for championships at the end of the season?
Yeah, so being a pretty low mileage person, I run about 25 miles per week, so not a ton. And when I do run, I really make sure that I'm getting all the supplements that I need, like protein. That one's really important for me because shin splints have been kind of a reoccurring thing over the summer. But honestly, if I just keep my mind and my mental game strong, then I feel like the rest kind of just flows in with it, which obviously there's always little nags here and there at my health, but getting injured the past couple years was quite the setback, but I pushed through it, and I'm still kind of surprised that I did that both years. But just protein and making sure I'm fueling and eating right. And obviously, I have to sacrifice a lot of my social life kind of too to make sure I'm getting to eat and drink at the right times.
Big races, big stages. You've been on all of them between cross country and track and field. You've seen everything. You've seen thousands of people at Drake Stadium. You've seen the state meet at Fort Dodge, obviously, with all those people. What is one strategy, though, that you have going into these types of events to help ease your mind and to mentally prepare yourself to compete at the highest level in these big pressure situations?
Yeah, I would be lying if I said that it gets easier. Obviously, I learned to control my thoughts a little bit better, but nerves are still a huge thing. And really, when I find myself staying up at night thinking about it, all that I do is I just visualize that race like over and over again until I get so tired that I fall asleep. Visualization is huge, and also just rehearsing what you want your race day to feel like and what you want to think and how you'll present yourself is pretty huge. But also just having a plan of getting out, because that's honestly the hardest part of any race that I've ever been in, is just you've got to get out, otherwise you're going to get trapped. Gutsy races are the ones that you know they're the ones that make the most impact most of the times, is what I've noticed.
Nice.
So you have been very dominant at the state cross country course. So what do you think is the most important section at the state cross country course?
The first mile, because my sophomore year, I had a strategy to go out slower, stay back, and that was kind of stressful because there are a lot of girls out there. A lot of people go out the first mile really fast, like I did this past year. So I think the first mile, just getting your position is super important, but you also cannot like sleep on that back part of the course by the actual clubhouse. That's a really important part to like tackle the hills and just not get tired, which that part of the race didn't go as planned. I wish I would have been a little bit stronger there.
And like Dewey talked about, you had your injury adversity. You've also had other athlete challenges. Last year, Megan Wheatley was probably on paper going into the state meet the favorite. This year going into the season with you and Alyssa bumping up to 2A, still would have had a potentially good battle there. Do you focus at all on other runners? Are you 100% focused on yourself?
I do focus on other runners quite a bit just because I haven't been around a lot of like competition really. There's no one that's been around me to like push me and see how I react to like competition. So I was weary coming into this, just not knowing where I would stand. I'd say it's probably a little bit of both. It kind of puts my mind at ease thinking about just me and my race, but obviously those thoughts get in your brain and you kind of thinking, "Oh, what are they going to do? Are they going to have a really good day at state?" But really just trusting myself and knowing that I'll do whatever it takes to win.
And is cross country track something you want to continue doing after high school, or what does that kind of look like that for you?
Yeah, I'm still trying to find the place that I like want to go, because the NCAA rules has really made things really difficult. Uh, I have some really big schools recruiting me, but they want me to go there for like 50K a year, and I'm not looking to do that, and I'm competing with um, people from foreign countries, and because that takes up a lot of money. So been like it's been crazy, but I'm certain that I'm going to find a good place, and I have a lot of good colleges and good leads.
Awesome. Yeah, just take your time, be patient, ask the right questions, and it'll all work itself out.
Yeah, we need to talk about that at some point with recruiting, and just we're running out of time with our season. The landscape of high-level track and field and cross-country recruiting is changing because of NIL and everything, and I'm sure Noel's going through that right now, where scholarships, unfortunately, are going to be cut. Well, they're not technically going to be cut, but roster spots are going to be cut, which is going to impact roster sizes and how many teams or how many people teams can take. So we'll talk about that later. But, Noel, I'm sure that there are going to be plenty of lucky schools to take you anytime to have a 4-time champ. They're going to be definitely lucky. So what's next for you in the off season? Are you going to continue racing, or are you going to get ready for track and field?
Yeah, I'm not done yet. I'm going to run NXR this next weekend, and then another race. I'm not sure what race that'll be yet, but I'm feeling really good, really fresh, and really hopeful to get a PR and race against some really high-level girls soon.
Yeah. And we wish you the best of luck. Congratulations again on your tremendous season at Tipton. Emailed with your coach, Coach Jill Ingalls today, and I'm sure, she's super happy for you too, and the connection that you guys have made at Tipton. And best of the luck this off season, and we'll see you in track and field.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Noel, for coming back to the podcast. All right, new time here, Joel. The chat looks a little bit dry tonight, so let's get him going a little bit. We have a new segment called the Live Interaction. So go ahead, Joel.
Yeah, so in the YouTube live chat below, go ahead and write us some feedback on the overall experience of the state meet and what we need to improve on for years to come.
Yeah. So what do you think we could do to continue to make our state meet experience better for the sport of cross country?
You asking me?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
What do you got? What's one thing?
Man, I'm so torn. I miss the old one day getting to watch all 4 races because it is a little bit of a hassle, especially if you're farther away, to go up, go back home, go back and up, watch it again. Hotel-wise around Fort Dodge, it might be difficult for a lot of teams to stay the night before, but to me, I think it would be something cool to have teams come up the day before, get to run the races or pre-meet on the course. Because look at other big college meets, championships. You get to go the day before, get a feel for the course, all those things. Because not everyone can go to the Fort Dodge meet during the season. So that'd be something cool, even if it was, Friday morning, early afternoon was part of the day. Then the evening is open for teams the next day to come and race. So Thursday night, the teams that race Friday could come up and see the course. So that'd be something. And then the picture line for the plaque. There's got to be a more efficient way than one camera. At least when we were there, it kind of just made it, we were trying to get out, walk the course and things like that. So
that part is always a difficult part to navigate.
It is. And I thought we got there with plenty of time, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh man, we got to get going. So trying to balance that.
Joel, what do you think? Did you go to the meet? Oh no, we lost Joel's audio again, Christian. You didn't go? No. Joel always says he's going, and then he never makes it. It's hilarious.
We might do a reveal of Joel tonight. So
we might save it for the end of the last episode, maybe.
Yeah, whatever works is ready to go. Sounds better. Whatever works for you guys.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it'd be cool to do like what St. Ambrose did earlier this year and do like a live stream. But obviously, with the way tech works up there, they'd have to really improve their infrastructure up there, get that to work.
So we've got some. I can see the chat tonight, by the way.
All right.
So Quinton, who was just on, says we need more tech drones, camera on a gator for people to watch. Totally agree. Brady Sanger says live podcast at the state meet and stream and talk while it is happening. Wow. I'd love that. Coach Van Rokel, congratulations,
State
Coach.
champions.
State champ. We breed state champions on the Exchange Zone. We'll take credit for that here. I'm just kidding. Congrats again, Coach. But she says live stream of the meet, picture line, cell service, and starting box assignments needed in the packet. And do we even want to read what Cooper writes? We'll paraphrase it.
The Legend of Cooper. I'll let you read it so you can paraphrase it. But, the box assignments. Also, at least up top, so you have the boxes up on top of the hill, and then they bring you down to your actual
cool.
box. Well, that's what they do, except the boxes up top don't line up, so you're at an angle down the hill, and the boxes on the top of the hill were also all different sizes. So I see what Coach Van Rokel's saying there.
Yeah, Cooper says better service in this day and age. We need to be able to live stream. And I think that's the biggest thing. Oh, cool, guys. Thanks for putting that up. Mike J would be legendary on the pod. Well, he started the year on the pod, Tony. But, yes, we could have him back on.
Maybe he means live at the meet.
Oh.
Which I'd like to see how it works for him. I'm sure he just has someone in the Gator radioing him like bib numbers.
I think they use that, yeah.
But I still feel like it'd be cool for him to see the race instead of just getting bib numbers and reading them.
Yeah. Rob Hammond says a few more food trucks would be nice.
I think so too, especially it's so hard if you're there for the morning races to get out and go get food somewhere in town and get back for the races. So I agree, more food trucks.
By the way, we're competing tonight with the podcast. Our podcast is competing against Chiefs Kingdom and the Manning Cast. And I think we're doing pretty good. We're battling, Joel.
We are.
A lot going on tonight. And college basketball just started.
That's
right. Emerson Vokes, who will be joining us soon, he says a Ponchero's food truck. So food trucks would be a good idea, especially if can people stay in between sessions?
Mm-hmm.
So that'd be cool to have like a food truck court, let people eat.
There's a few, but just more options would be cool.
All right. I mean, I'm going to go down, and I'm just going to say the live stream, it's got to happen. I mean, I turn on this SEC Championship Friday morning from my classroom, watching the Big Ten meet, drones, videos on the lead cart, live results while the video's showing of people up and down and where they're moving and the teams moving up. I mean, there's so much you can do. So that's my biggest thing. All right. Hey, did Gavin ever join the Zoom?
All right.
Well, let's try to bring Gavin on. All the way from North Iowa Buffalo Center. All right. If Gavin is on, we have been trouble getting Gavin on prior to the show. So, Gavin, if you're on, turn your video and audio on. And while we're waiting, our last show here at the halfway point of this show, our last show will be next Wednesday, November 13th at 7 p.m. Our way too early rankings, Kyle, is giddy to get to work this week. This is one of your longest weeks. You go to 40 on your rankings.
I don't think I can do that this year.
Not this year?
No, maybe in a couple classes,
Okay.
but no.
Yeah.
It's fun to do, but it's going to be a lot of hours this week.
Yep, it's going to be a lot of fun. How are we doing, Christian? Not good?
No, it's got a red dot, so I don't think he's going to be joining.
Okay. Well, let's go to the 1A boys race. And, Kyle, this was one coming in. that you look at the individual race, and I think you previewed it, right? You had Grunhovd, Shaw, and
Gage Hine, and then Gunnar Wagner is kind of that.
And we didn't have Gunnar Wagner in that top 3, did we?
No, he was the next guy in.
Okay. So, with that being said, what a race here in 1A. And you knew it was going to be close. You said it would be close. But we both picked Gavin Grunhovd. He wins this one, breaking 16 minutes and a 8-second victory for North Iowa Buffalo Center Senior.
Yeah, four seniors are the top 4 guys here. Yeah. But again, finishing off an undefeated season, he was one of the few races who was the person in the lead at the mile, ended up winning the race in a race where it wasn't a clear favorite. We'll put that out there. So just very impressive season for Gavin.
Yeah, and Gunnar Wagner, we did not see him in the mix with those top 3. We figured a top 5 to 8 finish was likely, but to split these caliber of runners, phenomenal performance for Woodbine senior Gunnar Wagner.
Yeah, I think we had him in the mix to start the year, just quietly. Didn't have a bad season, obviously finishing state runner-up. But I think he was 3rd in the 3,200, 3rd in the 1,600 in the spring. So no surprise that he is a top 2 guy here.
Shaw and Hine, Hayden Thompson of Lake Mills takes that last top 5 spot at 5th place. What a performance by that junior for the Bulldogs of Lake Mills. Lake Mills, we'll talk about their team here in a little bit, but Lake Mills is going to return some firepower next year for Coach Van Rokel. Anthony Vallis, that's your guy there, St. Ed's. Another good race. Kyle, Anthony was consistent all year long for St. Ed's and finishes easily in an all-state position.
Yeah, no matter the competition, it seemed like he always showed up.
Yep, and then Ben Byers of Sibley Cheaton, another good year. And these are some of the top juniors coming back next year in 1A with Thompson, Vallis, and Byers. And then there's a name we haven't mentioned. We mentioned Matt Richardson earlier from Baxter. But how about this senior performance from Colby Newsom of Winfield Mount Union? That is a name we have not said on the podcast. Probably should have put him in Welcome to the Zone.
Probably should have, but we can't get them all.
Can't get them all. And then Newt Rogney, the second runner for the Bulldogs of Lake Mills, rounds out that top 10. Anything else individually there, Kyle, in the 1A race?
Nope.
All right. Team-wise, it was all Lake Mills, 88 points. I think coming in, I thought 100 would win this meet. 88 was the final winning score. Thompson, Rogney, Van Rokel all return next year for Lake Mills. We'll talk more about their championship quest for next year, a three-peat, next week on the Exchange Zone. Van Rokel graduated.
He's a senior,
I thought he was a sophomore. But phenomenal performance for Coach Van Rokel's team.
Absolutely, without question. I think Earlham was number 1 to start the year, maybe? I can't remember on that. But these guys were definitely in the mix all year, competed very well against some 2A schools throughout the year, and just put it all together on the right day on Saturday. Big performance, Ankeny Christian.
Oh, my goodness. You have been
kind
of calling it all year.
I wish I would have. When I saw them at North Polk, I was like, they look like the real deal. Should have pulled the trigger. I didn't, but man, what a performance for them.
Yeah, Alex Davis, a junior for them, their leading runner. And they're going to return some good athletes, too, next year for Ankeny Christian. And it wouldn't surprise me if they're the new number 1 coming into the year next year. I think 3 or 4 of their top runners return next year for Ankeny Christian Academy. Woodbine, another great year for Woodbine. Another trophy for Woodbine, finishing 3rd. Ogden, solid year. We both had them in the top 3. Just missed trophy there with the 8 points out of Woodbine. And Riverside Oakland, another really good performance for them. Came in 4th, finished 5th. and a solid season for all 5 of those teams. You know, from start to finish, Kyle, in 1A, those were probably the 5 most consistent teams.
Without question. And you run this race again,
they might flip-flop.
Everyone but Lake Mills,
Mm-hmm.
I would say, might flip-flop order.
Yep. And I can't wait to see what's coming back next week in 1A when we preview that. Let's go over to the 1A girls race before we get to our next guest, and that'll be Pleasant Valley senior Anie Weedem will be joining us here in about 5 or so minutes. We'll do the 1A preview or recap before that. And in this 1A girls race, Lily Denton, undefeated start to finish.
Undefeated, didn't run cross country last year. What a year she has had since the start of track season.
Yeah, and outside of a couple closer races, but close, I don't think anyone was in 20 seconds with her this year. I think Sonderman was about 20 out most of the time. I don't think she saw a close race all year.
No, I mean, you could play the coulda, woulda, shoulda game, you know, with her and Steinis. That would have been a fun one to watch, but...
You texted. Did you tell me that?
I don't remember.
That would have been fun.
It would, but maybe we'll get it some other day in college or something like that, but just an impressive season for her. Nora Peterson as well. You know, she's had an awesome year. I feel like she's finished top 2, top 3 every race all year. Here again, finishing runner-up for Alta Aurelia.
A 20-second lead at the mile for Denton, expanded it to 22 seconds, and she wins by 29 seconds. Just dominant from start to finish. Madrid, Caitlin Branderhorst and Madeline Grothus showed up in this one. They finished 4th and 5th. I shouldn't have skipped over Chloe Glosser. A really good year for Pekin, third-place finisher there. She'll be back next year as well. But Brandhorst and Grothus, I don't think they probably thought they'd put 2 in the top 5. And when I was tracking that, I was like, holy cow, I think this might propel Earlham to the lead and win this meet. But it wasn't quite enough as Earlham wins this one by 19 points.
Man, credit to Madrid, though. Definitely had some injuries throughout the year to stay in that top 2 mix. They gave it everything they had. Kudos, especially to Mila Grothus coming back for this team. You know, sometimes it's just not enough, but that doesn't mean it still wasn't a good day. So Madrid's been having quite the run, and they're going to continue to have that.
And they'll be the preseason number 1. I don't think there's going to be any debate in that when we get to this next week. Earlham's got a lot back, but they do lose Hannah Frank, their number 1 runner, and I would assume that Madrid probably with the most back next year, obviously,
and they
finishing
were
second.
Second at the junior high state meet, if I remember right.
Okay. Caden Tuck, don't forget this name this spring. A silent star in the making. Well, she already is a star in track. To come out here and do a 6th-place finish for Nashua Plainfield. Folks, this is a 55-second quarter-miler, a 2:10 half-miler, and she ends up finishing 6th in this one. And we'll talk to another person like that real soon in Anie Weedem. But what a great way to finish a senior year for Caden Tuck.
Absolutely. She's probably one of the top 3 kids that I'm really intrigued
where she goes. Yep. And she's so versatile.
Right. That range is huge, especially if, you know, look at those, just say Division I teams that need an 800, 1500 runner to be that 5, 6, 7 runner for them. She's showing that she has that potential.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Down the list there, we've got Krogman, Yoder, Oberender, we mentioned already from Martinsdale, and Haley Ketchen. Another good performance for Cascade Western Dubuque. It was all Earlham, Kyle, in this one. I picked Madrid. You picked Earlham. Earlham just too much in that top 5. They put 5 in front of Earlham's 4, by a lot too, and that pack was just enough to win them the meet.
And that's what's crazy in this race too. You talked about Frank being 20th. She's 9th in the team points. So that changes
Half the
things.
field.
Right. So that just changes things pretty significantly in that perspective. So, but still, 2 outstanding teams for sure.
And then down the list there, what a performance by Trainer. They come through here. This is a third-place spot that I didn't know who was going to take. We had English Valleys coming in third. Trainer was fourth. That was my pick. We'll get to Southwind here in a second. But I thought of incredible performance by Trainer. They haven't been in this position very often, and they come through and bring home a trophy. 1 point ahead of Southwind, 3 points ahead of English Valleys, and only 9 ahead of Sioux Central, Sioux Rapids.
A week ago, would you have said Southwind's getting 4th?
No. They almost
Every
didn't
year.
make it.
They exactly almost didn't make it to Fort Dodge and nearly end up on the deck.
And, I was talking to you before the show. They run an old school pack running first mile where they're in like 8th place as a team. And then all their girls move up by 20 places, and then they move up by 10 places, and they're all of a sudden right in the mix. Earlham kind of does the same thing. Very slow start in this race, and they kind of work their way up throughout the race.
Jeez. And, yeah, you were right. 8th at the mile with 180 points. All the way up to 3rd at the 2 mile. They only moved up 17 points, 163. But, man, old school racing, that's awesome.
Old school racing. English Valley's 5th. Sioux Central, Sioux Rapids 6th, rounding out that top 6. And outside of that, other All-State mentions Audra Burbridge of Maquoketa Valley, Delhi Tyra Schubach of West Bend Mallard. Madrid put a 3rd in the top 15 with Hannah Brandhorse. All 3 of them back next year. Kylie Rockholtz of Panorama finished off a really good year for Panorama. And then Lauren Hillsland of North Iowa Buffalo Center making that deck top 15. So, a good 1A meet on the girls' side. Are we ready for our next guest as we move to Class 4A? Oh, we're going to do Bloomer Trivia. Yep. Good call. We are ahead of schedule. Is Anie waiting in the chat? Okay. All right, Bloomer Trivia. Here we go.
The Bloomer Trivia question this week is, how many starters were used at the 2024 state meet?
It stumped all of you guys.
I wasn't close.
So we're going to do this. I don't know if anyone will hit it right on. So the closest will win a hat. And by the way, I sent out our first batch of hats on Friday. 20-some bucks to send a hat these days. One package. So get this.
You do overnight air or what?
I don't know. So get this. I go out and I buy packages with a bubble wrap. Stamps. Because I'm just going to put 2 stamps on it. It weighs 3.5 ounces or more. And I'm going to take it to the drop box. Well, then my wife said, you got to go to the post office. So I take my package with the 2 stamps on it. I had my students stuff them for me. Wrote a nice little note in there for the people who won. Take it to the post office. And then the lady goes, those stamps, you don't need those stamps. So I have 8 packages with 2 stamps each. Stamps are now 68 cents a stamp. Sound like an old person complaining right now about money. The IATC, it's not my money, it's the IATC's money. But anyways, we'll be happy to send out more hats.
Nathaniel says he got his hat today. It's great.
Oh, good. So it was overnight. Maybe that's why it was so. I said to the lady, just the cheapest option. Do we have anyone that's guessed?
No one yet.
Not yet.
Oh,
While we wait for a few more, we got some questions in the chat.
okay.
Are they going to do a track podcast this year?
Taking interviews.
All right.
No, I don't know. That's your guy over here, right?
Over
Well,
there.
Yeah,
I don't know about
one
that.
of these two.
Maybe. I'll say that.
Kyle would be
try.
a hero if Kyle and Judge Joel can resurrect the track podcast.
You'll come home from track practice and we'll be in your basement podcasting. We got some good guesses coming in. No one's hit it yet.
We need a track one, though. It'd be so popular.
I would like, while we talked about the scholarship stuff,
Yeah.
I talked with Coach Palmer at Florida.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be cool to get him on over, like, Christmas break, when you get a little break from basketball.
Yeah, the problem is this is going to get torn down the second we're done next Wednesday. So we're going to have to find a second location. So maybe we'll come to your basement.
Maybe have to do that.
All right, what do we got here? Ooh. Okay, let's start out with MNK with 7. Beth, Coach Van Rokel says 6. Kyle Hopple is 5. When are we going to put a time limit? Are we just going to say we're done? It's your trivia.
2 more
Joel.
minutes.
Huh?
2 more minutes.
2 more minutes. No one has gotten it yet, but we have people in the ballpark.
We need people asked to see the question again. How many starters?
Oh, Steve Prefontaine wants to know the question again.
That's scary.
You guys are great.
How many starters started the state championships last weekend? We're getting higher numbers.
Shout
now.
out to the IATO, the Iowa Association of Track Officials. Partner of ours, Jaden Merrick. Jaden says 13. Jaden, great season, by the way. Tremendous year. Still don't have anyone. Oh! Oh, man. We're going to cut it right there. We're going to go with the winner. Kyle Hopple.
Kyler
Hopple. Sorry, I'm trying to read the screen. Is it Happle or Hopple?
Apple, I think.
Cooper Steeples gets the answer correct at 4, the Human Encyclopedia. But he is
ineligible.
disqualified or ineligible from competing. Did he get his hat?
He did.
All
He
right.
wore it all day Friday. He loves it. He's very thankful. And he earned it. First episode.
What do you think, Joel?
He knows his stuff. Cooper does.
Yeah, he does. All right. Send me an email with your address. The correct answer is 4. I guessed 32 with I texted Madison Melcher. That was her trivia question tonight. And I thought there was just a ton of officials, but she said only 4 shot the shells.
Yeah. There was more officials up
Yeah.
there, but actual starters. Because when you said that, I started counting all the ones I talked to, and I'm like, it's way more than that, but officials not, or starters not officials.
All right. We have Anie ready to go. She's on the iPhone.
And looks like Ethan made it in too.
Oh, good. Wonderful. Ethan Zuber joining us. First time on the program. Now joining the program, one of the most versatile distance runners in our state, a 2-time All-Stater in cross country and a multiple-time state champion in track and field, and a big part of the dominant Pleasant Valley State Championship team, Anie Weedem. Welcome to the Exchange Zone, Anie.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I kind of like the phone. Looks crisp. All right, Anie. Obviously, people know the names Wiedemeyer and Bolin. By the way, Grace Bolin, we were hoping to have them on together, and she is out for a college visit. And she got right back to us, and we wish her the best of luck on that. But obviously, people know your two names from track and field and now in cross country. But talk about the incredible improvements and accomplishments of your other scorers in that varsity lineup.
Yeah, there's been so much this year, so much improvement with all the girls. They're all super dedicated, and I think this year we really all bought in. I mean, it's my first year with PVGXC, but I can really tell the culture is really amazing. I mean, each of our top 3 runners could go, like, any one of us on top either, like, any day. So that's something that's really good to have on the team. Maddie Millage, she's a super tough competitor. We've kind of been going back and forth this season. Yeah, she has a she has a really scary kick, which I've been on the receiving end of. So yeah, she's super tough, super dedicated and consistent. Bryn Edgen, she has battled some really tough injuries, but she's super consistent with her cross training and super motivated. And she just ended this the regular season, or I guess state. She ended with a PR, huge lifetime PR. So we're super proud of her. That's awesome. And then yeah, Frankie Gatto, Vivian McCombs, they're best friends, and they love to goof off and have a good time, but they also know how to work, and they really push each other in practice. And then Jaylee Duncan has also made some huge improvements and really leveled up and improved a lot this year.
You talked about culture. What is something that Coach Jane or Coach Kenny do for the girls that help build such a successful culture in cross country and track and field?
Oh my gosh, they do a lot. And this is my first year, like I said, with this team, but I've heard so many of the girls say that the culture this year has just been so, like, next leveled from any other year. I mean, in cross country, earlier in the summer, we did this, like, team bonding trip to Decorah with, like, the top girls, and that was super fun. We got to go for runs, and, like, that's where Coach Jane Wheeler went to college at Luther, so that's kind of her little hometown a little bit, so that was fun for all of us. We got really close over that trip. And then yeah, we just love to have fun in practice. In our workouts, we know how to still have a good time, but also know when to lock in as well. And then we also do, like, a lot of visualization and just belief in the team that, like, we know we're capable of great things, and just really try to visualize that and believe that in ourselves.
For those that are listening that might be a middle distance centered runner like yourself, probably, 8s, 15s, why cross country for you, and what has the sport done to make you a better track and field athlete?
Yeah, I think some people think that, like, distance can kill speed, and if you run too many miles, then you won't be as, like, sharp on the track. But I really think it's the opposite. Especially for 800 and 1500 runners, cross country will only help you, and it's only helped me, that's for sure. Really, with, like, the strength aspect and mental aspect. I mean, running a 5K out in any type of weather on any type of ground really makes an 800 or a 1500 seem like very doable. So yeah, that's definitely helped my, like, the mental side of things for me, as well as obviously building my aerobic base and all of that. But more than that, I think cross country just really, I don't know, it's always something I can, like, turn to, like running, like, to help, like, my mental health, or just, it's always something that can be there, just going on a run. So that's really what cross country's given me, and an incredible team culture and environment, and, like, the best friends in my life. So that's why I love cross country.
I'm assuming you guys are going to NXR?
Yes, we are super excited.
So what's the goal there?
So we're going to see the Pella and PV matchup.
Is Pella on the mind?
Yes, it's on the mind. Ella's on the mind, Wayzata's on the mind. Our goal
right.
is to have fun, do what we need to do to qualify for nationals, and yeah, everything's on the table, so we're super excited.
I'm telling you, these girls are competitive at PV.
I see that.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with them. Trust me.
I'll stay in 3A.
No, that's great. So you've got some cross country planned. Big season of track and field coming up. What are you hoping to accomplish as you finish out your high school career? And do you plan on participating in running after college or after high school?
Yeah, so as far as this year goes, I would love to see some PRs. I'm still hoping for a PR in cross country at these next couple meets, and then definitely on the track. I think I have a lot of room to improve, and also just I'm super excited to see what this track team can bring, because it'll be different than last year, but I know we'll still be super strong and have that drive. So to like coming off a state championship last spring, we're all super excited to see what we can do this year. And then yeah, I am definitely planning on running in college. I haven't, like Noel said earlier, it's getting kind of hard now, and kind of harder than I expected. But I am in contact with a few different schools, so I'm just kind of trying to narrow it down, go on some visits, and find the perfect fit for me.
Yeah. Well, you're really impressive, from what you did in track, and then to follow it up in cross country, which isn't probably, your biggest strength, but your track, I told Kyle all the time, is just incredible what you guys did in those middle distance races up to the 1500. And there's got to be a college that's going to be really lucky to get you out there. And I know there's probably a lot that are looking at you. So it's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Well, anything else?
No, great season.
Is this race live streamed at this NXR?
It's
going to
probably
be great.
On like Runner Space or something, some paid.
Hey, you just did some bulletin board material right there for Pella, and you might be on their next video.
Me?
Yeah. You got to be careful on you.
Don't worry. We've been on it too.
We've been on it too, both good and bad.
And I think it's good.
No,
it's good for competition. It's respectful competition, how I see it. Whether it's Pella Gilbert boys or Pella and whoever girls or any other teams, I feel like this state has a lot of respectful competition.
Yep, and this is one that will only make our state look better.
That's
when
right.
These two teams race. And
both of you take down Wayzata. How about that?
Yeah, that's the goal. I mean, we're in
how
awe
many
of the
teams
Pella
make
girls.
it?
So
30 to nationals, right?
Is there like a certain number per region?
Well, so they take all the entries, and then I think it's 30 in the championship race or something like that.
Okay. Well, anyways, best of luck. Tell Coach Wheeler and Coach Wheeler hi from me, and we will see you in the spring.
thank you so much, guys.
All right, we'll see you.
Bye.
All right. Man, I didn't know. I looked at that when she was talking about Maddie. I've been saying Millage.
Millage.
Bolin 1823, Wiedemeyer 1824, and Millage 1826. I didn't know they were that close. Jeez. Did you know that?
Not off the top of my head, no.
I know. Wow. That's really impressive. And then Bryn Edge in there at 1843, their fourth runner. All righty. Let's go and look at that 4A state meet. Individually, the state champion Piper Messerly was unable to jump on tonight. She had a prior commitment. She wins this one 17:58. Kyle, your pick in a field that was wide open gets the W. Congratulations.
Man. Thanks, I guess.
Annika Morehauser caps off a really, really
Or no,
solid senior
I had
year.
Gall. I didn't get it right.
You had Gall?
Sorry, I can't take credit
So
for that.
I'm gonna give myself a pat on the back. I called Messerly about a month ago to win that. Then I went against her.
She ran a smart race.
Yeah. Morehauser, great season. Charlie Gall, we'll see a lot more of her. Olivere, another consistent year for her. Another top 5 finish, right? She was in the top 5 last year.
Yeah, she was the top returner from a year ago.
And then Evie Henningberry. I mean, it seems like you talk about consistency between Olivere and Henneberry. You always knew what you were going to expect from them, and just a great way to finish their season. Bolin, Woodley, Wiedemeyer, Claire Hoyer, and Chesterman. Claire Hoyer, a top 10 finish for senior, and Chesterman inside the top 10. Dubuque Senior had a really good day, too. Let's look at the team scores now, and it was all Pleasant Valley. I think we probably thought they were, I wouldn't say a heavy favorite, but a considerable favorite coming in. I didn't see it going 63 points. I thought probably 80.
Yeah, I would not have expected that low either.
Just a really good day for Pleasant Valley. Johnston also with a good day. I mean, 88 points any year in 4A. That's a heck of a score. So a good performance from Johnston. And then Dubuque Senior. Remember last year, we thought at times they could have won it last year. We for sure thought they were going to get a trophy. Remember, they came over and got 5th or 6th. Graduate a couple girls, come back, and bring home a trophy for Coach Fisher and Dubuque Senior. An impressive day for them.
I should look up what they were preseason ranked too.
I think they were like 6. While you're looking that up, 8. Centennial 4th. A good year for Centennial. Dallas Center Grimes 5th. Cedar Falls up and down year. They've been up, they've been down. They finished with a really good performance. Of these schools coming back next year, Johnston, which we'll talk about more next week, is going to be the preseason number 1. They return their entire scoring lineup. Cedar Falls is very young as well. So a good day for those schools. Anything else there in the team ranks?
Good day for DCG too.
Yeah.
I know you talked about it a little bit. Kind of finally, and we'll get to the boys too, all put together on the same day. Good for them to get a 5th place finish.
Yeah. So anything else there? I don't think there is to look at. Let's go to the 2A boys. So we're wrapping up our recaps here. And in Class 2A, individually we'll be joined by the state champion Emerson Vokes here shortly. He wins this 18-second victory over Alex Torres of Vinton-Shellsburg. Is that what you expected? That much of a gap?
I think so. We both locked him up.
Mm-hmm.
He seemed like a pretty heavy favorite going in. Now you had Brandon Hughes, you had the defending state champion Schwartzentruber, Flatibo, Gomez, Alex Torres. So you can't count those guys out, but I do think Vokes was that heavy favorite.
I agree, and I didn't think Torres would be second. I don't think we had him down. I think we had Hughes in the mix, Schwartzentruber. I know we mentioned, or you mentioned Torres, but a really good performance. And Vokes and Torres both back next year as the top 2 returners in 2A.
Man. And I think Gomez, the way he started the season, he'll be in the mix with those 3 next year too.
And 7th for a freshman.
Impressive.
Nothing to hang his head on with that performance. Connell Sauser, 8th. Nathan Pint, we had mentioned him a lot this year from Jessup. He had his best race of the year, top 10 finish. Dirks, Spirit Lake put 2 in the top 10. Things were looking really good for them up front. Just couldn't quite put the pack together behind it. Isaac Riesinger, really good senior year for Wakan. Sawyer Minders of Pella Christian rounding out that top 12. On the team side in Class 2A, This was the class. We talked about it, but it just kind of felt comfortable for both of us to put Olwine down as the favorite, and they end up winning.
What a season for them. I think they got consistently better throughout the season. Mid-season took a massive jump.
When they beat Denver, right?
Well, there's one where they smoked Waukon because they were pretty close to start, and then all of a sudden it became just a massive gap. That's when I think they knew they were state title contenders.
Yeah, they had a really good last month of the season, led, of course, by Connell Sauser. But Caleb Shunk, I would not have guessed that they would put two inside that top 15. We talked about Keyshawn Williams last week. Those three guys were the catapult for them to get this state championship. We didn't think anything under 100 would happen in this class, and that exactly played out. We thought it'd be a lot of 100-point scores. In fact, 9 schools break 200 points in what was a wild Class 2A this year on the boys' side.
And we knew it was going to be.
Oh, my gosh. I don't think I've seen that.
Not like that.
But what a day for Mid-Prairie, girls and boys. I didn't see them getting second in my picks. I think I had Unity second, didn't I? I think I had Unity second.
Man, I know I had Olwine, Spirit Lake, and then Mid-Prairie, I think, if I remember right.
I don't remember.
I can go back and look, too.
But trophies for Mid-Prairie, Unity outperforms their 6th place ranking, gets the 3rd spot. Denver, Sheraton. My team, Garner Hayfield of Ventura, improved on their 9th place ranking coming in. Waukon, a big jump from 11 to 7, and Anamosa rounding out the top 8. Anything else here in 2A, gentlemen? We ready to
big
add?
Season for Sheraton. I think they started the season pretty far down and worked their way up pretty far. Garner Hayfield, Ventura, too. So just another extra special shout-outs for those two.
All right. We ready to bring in Emerson? All right. Joining us, another champion here on the Exchange Zone. This time, the Class 2A state champion from Grundy Center, Emerson Vokes. Emerson, welcome to the Exchange Zone. How are you tonight?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Hey, congratulations on an impressive season this year from start to finish. Kyle had you locked up early in the year. Why don't you start with the first question, because you've been really high on Emerson all year.
Well, I think he's your former assistant coach from a couple years ago. I'm blanking on his name right now.
Likely?
He moved to, Virginia. Never mind.
Connor.
There you go. Yep. He told me a long time ago that you were coming and you were going to be pretty good. But so what was your mindset coming into this season, moving up a class, seeing the 2A field, and what did you hope to accomplish?
Obviously, Emmett Schwartzenchuber had the championship. He was a junior, so I knew he was coming back. So I took my notes on him and just try to stay as consistent and smart as possible throughout the summer. The training, the miles, the nutrition, all the factors that play into the overall growth that I can, try to obtain during the season.
Do you do anything special to mentally prepare for a big race?
I would say just keep my mind off things, I like to hang out with all my guys, throw the football around, just have fun. I really trust my training, I think that takes care of a lot of my mental side of things. So I just know that all the hay's in the barn, when it comes to districts or state, all those big races that, have an impact on my career. And then just trusting God's plan for it all and just knowing that he's in control of it, So I just kind of let him handle it. And I'm just, just playing the background of it all,
So, as your season, your training plan is built at the start of the year, what does that look like as far as how do you, set up your plan? Do you train in blocks? Are you focused on certain races, or is your mind just always in your trainings geared towards this last meet?
Yeah, it's all geared for state. It's kind of blocks, I would say. It's I didn't go above 50 this summer, so I stayed pretty consistent with around 45. Moved up to high 40s. Uh, Workouts are pretty consistent. Obviously, a big belief that me and my coach both have are just like progressing. So you're constantly either you're getting faster and the workouts are more intense or longer. So that's a big part of my training. And then slowly like putting races together and like 5Ks, like town 5Ks and all of that implementing into my schedule and just getting better throughout the whole season. Gotta stay healthy.
Nice. Tell us about kind of your team a little bit. How do they help you? You talk about throwing the football around. Keep your mind off things.
He's a route runner.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a great team this year. A very young team, I would say. A lot of new to like cross country runners. So we graduated a lot of runners last year. The past years, we got like 6 collegiate runners right now from Grundy Center. Like currently, I think is the number. And so our team this year is just really fun. I really enjoy the guys. All the guys like Braden Wallace, Preston Orange, Jalen Kirkpatrick, all those guys that just like you can hang out with and really make this whole sport what it's supposed to be, and it's fun. So that's kind of what it looks like.
Can you remind me, your freshman year, did you guys kind of get sick right before state qualifying? Do I remember that correctly?
Yeah, that was Caden Lynch. That was his junior year.
Okay. Your freshman year?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So kind of tell us how that has shaped you. It's tough when you guys are a really, really good team then, kind of not meeting those goals or expectations that season. How did that help you out maybe this year?
Yeah, I was just like looking up to those guys, the whole time and just like in a way, just like waiting my turn, and just staying as consistent as I can be and like knowing that my time will come and that just trying to help the team out, because my freshman year was kind of whack in a way, I would say. Like I went from running like 19 minutes to 16:45 at state all within like a month. So that was a little bizarre to me knowing that I did that, but it happened. So yeah, that was a fun year.
And what do you do in the off season? Do you wrestle, run? What's next for you?
Freshman year I played basketball, so I tried that out. I played it all middle school and all that, so I really enjoy it. It's fun, but once I hit sophomore year, I was like, okay, I gotta take this serious. So I've trained in the winter and summer, and yeah, I really take it seriously.
Perfect. And have you wrapped up this season, or are you gonna do some post besides turkey trots? Anything coming up for you?
Yeah, I'll be at NXR next Sunday at the championship race, and I'm hoping to do some big things there.
My gosh, is the whole state going? We need to have a podcast for that.
Send it. The Bondurant boys are going up. So
are you going?
I don't think I'm going to make it.
That's awesome.
It is. This is the most I feel like I've seen in a year. The kids going up there, and the races were full. When I went to sign up the kids, there was only one heat that had openings available. So lots of kids are going.
Hey, yes. Emerson, great season. It's been so fun to follow, and we get you back for another year next year. So looking forward to that. And, of course, a great track and field season this spring. So best of luck to you this upcoming weekend and, of course, the rest of this school year. And, yeah, great job.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. Emerson Vokes of Grundy Center, another champion on tonight's Night of Champions here on the Exchange Zone podcast. Is it a podcast anymore if we're in the video?
I think so.
How's that work, Christian?
Video podcast.
It's a video podcast. All right, we are down to our final class gender, right? The 4A boys.
I think so. I lost
We haven't
track.
forgot anyone, have we? So, is Ethan ready to go? Or do we want to go Ethan first and then we'll do the recap?
Ethan.
Yeah, let's do it. All right. Joining us now on the Exchange Zone. Somehow, this is a young man that has never appeared on the Exchange Zone. He's kind of flown underneath the radar. Last year's 4A state champion in cross country and the reigning Gatorade Athlete of the Year for the sport of cross country, and this year's state champion, making it back-to-back, Ethan Zuber of Ankeny. Back from the volleyball game. Sorry it didn't go well for you guys. Unfortunately, those Northwest Wolves with a 3-0 sweep, but we're happy you made it back in time for the show.
Hey, me too. Thanks for being willing to adjust the time like that. And yeah, that was brutal. But Ankeny Hawks, you guys played hard, and sometimes outcome doesn't go your way, I guess.
Well, hey, Ethan, we're so excited to have you on, and we have so much respect for you and your program, or Coach Lindemann's program at Ankeny, Coach Mullen, all of that, and glad to have you on to talk for a little bit. First off, such a decorated career so far. What race of yours, could be track, could be cross country, stands out the most to you? One that you will never forget, that you'll always remember and you're most proud of?
Well, that's a hard question, because a lot of them stand out. A lot of them have been so special to me, so important to me, because there's just a lot going into it. But I think probably the one that comes to mind is my sophomore year when I got third place in the 1600. That race, I think that was the first time I ever got the feeling like, wow, I just totally emptied the tank. Like, at the end of that race, crossing the line, I felt like I didn't have anything left. And then from then on, it was like, all right, what can I do to get this feeling again?
Wow, that's great. So one thing we always talk about, and I don't know how much you've watched our show, but one thing I did at the beginning of the year, I remember I had a sticky note here, and I showed Kyle what it takes to beat Ethan Zuber. And it's like the only times you've been beaten here in-state by an in-state competitor by less than a second, basically. Where did this intense competitor come out in you? How did this happen?
Well, honestly, I don't really know. I can't really put a date on it. But I would just say growing up with two other brothers, one older, one younger, naturally, I guess, everything just turned into a competition. I mean, I could remember times where we'd play basketball and it'd just be the end of the world, whoever could win. We rode bikes every day to school, and then to me, it just mattered who got to the top of the hill first. And I even remember a time when me and my youngest brother tried to brush our teeth for longer. So just like random things that, like, when you look back at it, it's like, okay, that's kind of a silly thing to really like care about. But at the time, it was like, dude, I will brush my teeth all day and I will bike up this hill as fast as I can. And it just was that every day with my brothers, and then being on a team, it was just opened my eyes like, wow, there's no end to competing. And the more people you have around you, the more competition there is, and it's just limitless. So I guess it started with my brothers and just expanded to kind of my team and who I'm around and just what I do.
And do all of you run cross country? Have any played football? How's that work?
My oldest brother graduated. He's working now. And my youngest brother does football for Ankeny here. He's one of the running backs, sophomore. And he's more short distance. He threw down some pretty good 100 and 200 meter freshman times this last track season. So yeah, I mean he's shorter distance. He can beat me in anything less than a 4. I think I could still get him in a 4. Haven't proven it yet though.
All right. I thought maybe that was the case. I was watching one of the Ankeny football games, and they said touchdown Zuber, and I'm like, if that's you running cross country and playing football, this kid's crazy, but that's awesome. So Coach Dewey talked about Coach Lindemann a little bit. Why don't you tell us about how special your coach is to you and that connection and how that journey has been?
It's been great, and I got to say my success is a reflection of the great coaching I've had. Not just Lindemann, but the assistant coaches like Josh Evans and Justin Schlicker and Fitz, some of our assistant coaches that have helped me very much. But obviously, I see Lindemann as like my Phil Jackson of a coach. Like, came here, never really ran super competitively before, and meeting him and being developed by him was, I'd say, perfect for me because we both looked at running the same way. We didn't. When he started to see me start to run better, compete more, or beat people, I would talk to him about like competing and beating people, and that was just like the same. We're speaking the same language. He was all about building the competitor, competing, trying to win, and he wasn't always time this and time that, and so I just think he was really understanding about the philosophy that we both have behind running and developing me as a runner. He's obviously done great things with Tim Sent in the past, and a lot of other runners on our team having third place finishes a few years back. So I think he's really knowledgeable too, but he could also just connect with me as a person and like with running, how we want to compete for it, but also outside of running and the other aspects of life too.
One last question for you. How have you built such a high self-confidence and belief in yourself?
Well, it really just comes from the repetition. You do this, you do any sport, anything. You do anything every day to the best of your ability. The only other thing, the thing that comes out of that, the other end of that, is just the belief in yourself from what you've done. So by going to practice, by getting good sleep, by eating well, hydrating well, recovering well, making the sacrifices, going to bed early, you build this confidence in yourself. Like, okay, like this is what I do every day. This is what I can do every day. And then competing in races and doing things you didn't think you could do, getting through a hard workout, beating someone in a race you didn't think you could beat, hammering the last little bit when you thought the tank was empty. You just start to realize like, okay, these things are possible, and like what I want to do is possible, and you just start wondering the extent of it.
I want to ask you the same question I asked Quinton. Did your race plan go exactly as you thought, or did you have to adapt during the race?
I got this question from Dan Holm, and my first answer was, race plans usually you come up with it, you visualize it, you think about it, and something goes wrong, something changes. I'd say state meet played out pretty close to the way I thought it would, the way I had visualized it, ran it through in my head. I didn't expect. I think Decker stayed with us. He ran a great race. So that was just about, don't freak out. Just know that the plan stays the same. But yeah, I would say, a few things here and there changed a little bit, but at the end of the day, it played out really well, and it was very similar to what I thought would happen.
Yeah, well, another incredible performance, Ethan. I tell you what, I'm going to miss watching you compete in high school after this track season because you are truly one of the more impressive student athletes I've watched. Obviously, I coach on the girls' side in track, but I see you guys at meets. And you need to be a public speaker, first of all. Like, I want to bring you in and talk to my girls' team about how to compete a little bit harder. I'm just kidding. But, I mean, any coach watching could show this right here. I mean, this is impressive. Really good stuff.
I agree.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I mean, it just comes from a lot of David Goggins videos. So and
David
a lot
Goggins.
a lot of Michael Jordan videos.
Yep.
Kobe, and just running. You out there running, and you walk away from it, and you're like, wow, okay, it does really teach you a lot more than just running. It does extend beyond that. So yeah.
Well, thanks so much for coming on. It's fitting that one of our last episodes is after your senior year because, it's just great to finally get you on. And are you running next weekend too?
Yeah.
Planning on it. We might need to have a surprise pod about this meet. We might have to have a section next week on the episode about the Nike. Everyone's going.
Yeah,
could do
a lot of great guys are going. A lot of great competition or great competitors here in Iowa. So they're gonna.
Oh man.
Hopefully, we all go bring it, take over.
That's right. All right. Well, best of luck this weekend, and we'll see you on the track shortly here in the spring. And go get them.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Wow. That was pretty impressive. You can tell why my sticky note at the beginning of the year, it's going to take every ounce of someone to beat him.
Just like refuse to lose. I know Steve Prefontaine's in the chat, but somebody might beat me, but they're going to have to bleed to do it or whatever his quote was.
Holy cow.
I think that's the case here.
He just oozes with confidence.
He does. And Merrick and Decker both put up a good effort. 600 to go, I would say they were still together. That's right when he started to pull away, is to go up towards that top hill where you come down into the finish. And when he made his move, he made it hard.
Oh, my goodness.
No one was going with him, so it was impressive.
Yeah, and he ended up winning by 7 or 8 seconds over that last 600. But, yeah, truly one of the sport's greatest competitors that I can remember since doing this at this high a level, too. So good to have him on. Let's get, by the way, I got to say this. We've got Judge Joel asking questions. I just realized this. He has no headset. He's got no headset. He has no idea what they're saying or when they're done talking.
It's a man of many talents.
We're going to have a special reveal next weekend. We'll put a little chair right here. His microphone won't fit that far, but we'll at least get him on here with his Exchange Zone hat on. All right, let's go to the 4A boys and finish this episode up. Ethan Zuber, the champion, the back-to-back champ in 4A. He got all he could take, though, from Jaden Merrick, who had, as I've already said, Jaden's on the chat, just phenomenal junior campaign. Several races under 15 minutes, validated it at the state meet. 15:08, one of the fastest times. Only one person has ever broken 15 minutes going into this year, and that was Jackson Heidish. Quinton Nauman dipped under 15 at 14:59. Zuber right on the 1 second over. But Merrick, great race. Keegan Decker. What can you say about Keegan Decker?
Dog. Just stuck his nose in there.
Sophomore.
I think a lot of people were probably like, Zuber, Merrick, go for it. And he said, not so fast, my friend. Put himself right in the mix. Held on great for third. Even in that move happened, Zuber pulled away. He hung right with Merrick for a little bit. Merrick edged him out at the finish. And a lot of these guys are coming back too. Merrick, Zuber, Buckheister, Crossland, Gutema, you name it. So this is going to be fun the next 2 years.
Yeah, and then a nice gap there, but still great time. Slater Buckheister coming into the year, never would have imagined him in the top 5, let alone barely in their scoring lineup last year for the Cougars of Cedar Rapids Kennedy. Owen Merritt rounds out a really strong career for the Riders from Des Moines Roosevelt, a top 5 finish for Owen. Jack Crossland, you want to talk about consistency And another name to watch going into the years to come. This Jack Crossland has been in the top 5 of every CIML big race all year long, and once again validates it on the biggest stage for Johnston. Really impressive for Buck, Heister, Merritt, and Crossland.
Absolutely. Big day for the 800 stud Mustafa Tia.
Yeah.
Do you have him finishing 9th?
No, and it's good to see because his cross-country seasons have not finished well in his career. He'll have a couple of really good appearances, and then it just doesn't end up finishing the way he probably wanted. Here he does at 15:38. And for a 6'5" 48-second, 150.800 runner, 15:38 is awfully darn impressive.
He just took a visit to A&M.
Really?
Yep. Merrick just committed to Colorado.
We have a lot. Joel?
Sorry, I'm early giving these
That's what
sons
we're
out.
going to put, Joel. Joel, you've got a 9-day project here.
Sounds
You
good.
got to gather all of the commitments because, remember, we're going to showcase them next week. And if we can get a picture, how are we going to do this?
Email them to us.
Okay.
Listening. That'll help us speed up the process and guarantee you to be on the show.
Yes. And Joel, because not everyone listens to the show, Joel will go out and research those that we're maybe missing. And if you haven't signed yet, don't worry about it because this is just the first signing period.
Right.
Yeah.
And how
You
they
can
just talked about, this roster spots, current roster spots are going to have to be given up. So they're going to have to cut kids. Those kids are going to go down, if they're D1 to D2, D3, JUCO.
Going to be a lot of movement.
Right. So it's going to be the Wild West for a little bit. I think it'll eventually work itself out, but
Yeah, and don't commit too early because the nice thing about running is you can commit all the way into May if you really want to, especially as a track athlete. There's a spot for you all the way into the summer. Gutema, that's got to be one of the better freshman state meets ever. I don't remember what Merrick did as a freshman. It's probably...
I feel time-wise was pretty close. But
Okay, let me look that up. You can keep going, Kyle.
But
Anything
yeah.
else you notice?
Big day. Tegan Kralik, Norwalk getting on the deck. A.J. Wiley, Bettendorf.
Mm-hmm.
And then John Mollers, Marshalltown.
John Mollers, all-state performer.
Gets the last spot on the deck. Anything else individually, or do you want to do some team stuff?
Yeah, let's do team.
Yeah, so little upset here. 2-1. Cedar Falls over Dowling Catholic. In the race, I was watching it. I could not have told you that Cedar Falls had won by 18 points. It looked very close from what I could see watching the race play out, but big day for Cedar Falls. I know I picked it. I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I don't know if I believed what I picked last week. So, big day for them, but still another big day for Dowling. 15 of 16 years on the deck. Are you kidding me?
Where do they put all the trophies?
I'll take some. Just crazy. So what they've built, what both these schools have built is absolutely incredible. Just another outstanding meet for both teams, but
Cedar Falls, one of the most tradition-rich programs, I think, with state meet appearances. And Merrick, 16-14 as a freshman for Cedar Falls, 18th overall. So I think that freshman performance right there from Gutema might be one of the best we've seen. All right. You talked about Dowling. You talked about Cedar Falls and Dowling. Kyle, I was tracking this race very closely. And Cedar Falls looked to be the aggressor in this one. And last year, I remember when I was watching, they were kind of equal at the mile, and then Dowling just overtook them the last 2 miles. But in this situation, it just seemed like Cedar Falls was the aggressor with Dominic Williams. Connor Martin came up huge as a senior. Kiernan DeGroat, those guys, veteran runners, seem like they really learned from 2023.
Absolutely, and that's what racing's about, right? If it doesn't go the way you want, learn from it. 60 points at the mile. They ended up with 73, so...
That shows that they were really ready to get after it.
Right. Went for it and hoped to hang on. They did. Dowling didn't make that move in the last mile like they have in years past. But still, just two awesome performances from both teams.
And then the race for third and Cedar Rapids Prairie. What did you have them preseason ranked? Because I feel like they really outperformed their preseason ranking this year. I think we've mentioned it.
16 for me, 10 for you.
10 for me, and I think IATC was somewhere in the middle, like 12 or 13. Great season for Coach Schwartz and his staff and the Prairie Hawks, bringing home yet another trophy in cross country. And then Dallas Center Grimes. I mean, this is a team that went through so much this year. Injuries, other situations, everything going on. Getting guys back with just a week or two to go. Elias Arbuckle comes back, didn't run all the way up until the conference meet. He finishes as their lead runner here, breaking 16 minutes. This is a team that I think, if healthy, probably could have been the third-place team this year. But for them to get back to get fourth, just a really good job by their coaching staff to get him in that position.
Right. I think a lot of teams could have thrown in the towel halfway through.
Oh, yeah.
Because it didn't look good. And
I didn't know if they'd make it.
Even a couple weeks ago. I'm with you. And then you started to see it slowly come together. They had the guys to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just had to have them all do it on the same day, be healthy, and they got it done. I know they wanted a trophy, but still, to come out fourth place finish from where the season was, how it was looking, especially 3-4 weeks ago, I would never have picked DCG as my sleeper team 3-4 weeks ago.
No. And they outperformed their ranking from 8 coming in to finishing 4th. Norwalk 5th. Another good year for Norwalk. Just remarkable what these two programs have done.
And they just moved up from 3A not that long ago.
And they're just comfortable in the likes of Prairie and City High and Johnston and Ankeny, Northwest, and they just fit right in. So credit to them, their coaching staff, the culture of their program. City High 6th, Northwest 7th, and Ankeny rounds out the top 8. Kyle, what a tremendous straight meet. One that only elevated the sport. It just seems like every year we're getting better and better, time-wise, team-wise, and this is another one to mark in the check that box. This state is only getting better.
Without question. You know, yes, time-wise, that's an easy way to look at it, but just performance-wise, the way these kids compete, how many are going to NXR?
Oh my
It used to be like
handful.
The Dowling boys and the Johnston girls are like 1 or 2 teams, maybe a couple kids. You know, I've heard Ballard's going, Valley, Indianola, everybody we've talked to tonight. It's just the sport's taken off.
Yeah. It sure is. And it's so fun to follow. Joel, how are we doing on our quick question results on Twitter? And I think we're about done.
Yeah, let me check with...
Didn't have headphones.
With 67 votes, it's close. With 51%.
Oh, wow.
They say conservative with even splits. And then 49% get out fast.
Wow. Could it have been we saved our best question for one of our last episodes? We talked earlier. I'm a big conservative guy in long distance races, but I think you could almost split this question in half. For whatever reason, it seems like now in the large school classes, it's almost more risky to get out slower, because if you get left in those races, there's no catching anyone.
Yeah, because especially that first right turn, it funnels pretty quick. And to me, maybe the first mile, the course could be wider, if that makes sense. And then maybe it narrows down as you go, but it just does seem like it's pretty packed that first mile.
And then in the smaller schools, where the race strings out a little bit more, you see these dominant packs that are starting 60th to 80th place. Earlham, Mid-Prairie, Southwind girls. And that strategy is paying off really well for them. But I put myself into a 4A race, and I don't coach cross country, but you see these times and how fast things. If you're in 80th place with 4 runners, 70th to 80th place, I don't know, in a race like that, can you make up that much ground?
It's hard.
It's got to be harder than a small school race.
I think so.
I mean, you coach in 3A. Don't you feel like you kind of have to be in the mix?
You have to be within reach. In my thoughts, maybe versus smaller classes. I think a big piece of it, too, is you also got to find that balance of moving forward the second half of the race, especially in a big meet, state meet. When a couple people pass you, you can hang on. But when it's 20, 30 people passing you, it's hard to stay locked into that race and hold on when you're moving the wrong direction.
We look at the chat here for one last time. Tony says Kuma is the fastest freshman ever. You have an apology up there as well. And then Kanan Dunham ran 16 flat as a freshman. But Joel, what do you think? Conservative or get out fast?
I think I'm more of a conservative guy, probably.
Yeah. You used to get out pretty fast there,
Sometimes,
Joel.
yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Depending on the day.
Yeah. All right. Well, what a phenomenal 2 hours we spent together tonight here on the Exchange Zone. There is our upcoming schedule. We just knocked off November 1st, 4th. We are down, folks, to the final episode, Wednesday at 7 p.m. That is next Wednesday, the 13th. And that'll be the Way Too Early Rankings show. And we're looking forward to bringing that to you one last time. We're going to have a lot of fun that night. We have a ton of thank yous that we want to deliver to people. We're going to do signings. We're gonna show our Way Too Early rankings, and then it'll just be a good episode.
It will. And thank you to everybody that's listening tonight, active in the comments.
Very good comments, guys. Tremendous.
Man, maybe a few over the top.
Yeah.
But, especially, Quinton, Tony, Cooper, those guys that have listened all year. Just very thankful for those consistent listeners. And even at the state meet, I had people coming up to me out of nowhere. They'd see the Bondurant tent, come up, say thank you. So that means a lot. I know we both have quite a few emails we haven't gotten to yet post-state meet, but we do appreciate all those. So thank you to everybody.
Absolutely. Well, we'll have one last time together next Wednesday. We'll finish it off with a final episode. Thanks again to everyone all year. If you'd be so kind to subscribe, like, comment on our social media platforms or wherever you listen to your IATC Exchange Zone video podcast, That would be wonderful. Have a great week for those traveling to South Dakota. Safe travels, and we'll be back one more time Wednesday the 13th. Have a great week.